Connecting.
Starting the stream. I thought you were going to be doing one personal.
Just don't even. Yeah, it's a confusing mess.
It is a bit of a kerfuffle, but has the stream started on the YouTubes?
I know it's on this thing. Is it on your phone?
Hello, all you people in the interwebs.
Hello, the world. Do I see you? Well, I don't see you on my phone yet.
No, it's not going to be that one.
Oh.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Oh, well. I suppose I can also just go to Kaiju no Kami's YouTube channel.
Yes, I see it now.
Okay.
So,
And you need.
What is it under? Is it under the?
It is under this one.
Okay, so it popped up twice. Okay.
Yes.
so it's working?
So
Yes.
I think so. Maybe.
Yes, it's working. I told you it's working. You need to listen to me.
At least the audio work.
Yeah, I told you it was working.
All right,
Hi,
excellent.
Silver Quill.
Yes, it works. I'm a genius. Except for the fact
Yes.
that... Oh, and we can start right off the bat. Happy birthday to Michael Senna.
Happy birthday.
There seems to be a delay though, because I'm on the couch already and I'm just walking back now in the video.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, it's always like that.
Happy birthday, Michael Senna. And hi, Cherry Fluff Belly.
Yes, Michael Senna, Cherry Fluff Belly. There were, well, in the other version, there were comments.
Did you put?
That's what I'm going to put in the chat now. That live stream. I'm going to type.
Yes, we're here to talk about Kamen Rider.
It's quite uncommon.
Yes, he's all of it. So love it.
All right.
Silver Quill, did you hear me?
I couldn't quite hear you. You were talking away from the mic.
Oh, why don't you bring it a little bit?
I can't because it's plugged in. That's as far as it can go plugged in. Because it's plugged in the back over there. Because I can't fit the cord for the MacBook over there.
Okay, so we have to move closer.
That's right.
Okay.
Come a little closer. Come to Silver.
All right. So first, what's up, everyone? Kaiju no Kami here from the Toku and Animation News Network. We might be able to move it a little bit. I'm here with
Cruellica Kane.
And we are with, in the little screen over here.
Let me out of this box. Can't. But yes.
No, you're in a box.
Oh, you think that's something? Just wait and see what I can do now.
Oh, great.
Emma girls, just look at me float around here. Woo, and floating so spookily. Oh, child.
Funny thing is, with the video, there's a delay on here from when you're doing it, so we're actually not seeing it until you already have done it.
Yes. So, everyone, we're trying a new technology. So, if you are getting a delay or wondering why one thing is working faster than the other, it is because we are old.
And also,
whenever you get... Oh, Jesus! Oh, put yourself right over.
Oh, okay.
Kaiju.
Blending mode, lighten. I'm over there. Hi, everybody. I'm Kaiju no Kami. Hi-ho.
I don't know if it works since it might.
No, that's absolutely
all right.
fine.
But we are here to talk about Gavv, episodes 42 to 50. And I had originally intended to do a quick go-through of all the episodes to refresh my memory of them all, and never got the chance today.
Well, we have another birthday we have to say. So, looking in the comments, Ben Goldman, his birthday just passed because the final episode for Gavv aired on his birthday. So, happy belated birthday!
Yep.
Oh, and
That is super, super awesome.
And we shall have a round of applause.
And
says hello.
so there's the A Games, who also says congrats on making Saber Spark a virtual character.
A virtual character?
And I'm not. Who is Saber Spark?
Well, the Saber Spark I know is a reviewer of cartoons. But I don't think that's...
Always...
All right.
Well,
but
we'll have to learn. Share in the comments the A Games. I'm curious. And you shared in the comments the other.
On the other stream?
Yes.
I said that there's another... Please, your stream is in another stream.
They meant you, Silver Quill.
Oh, making me... Oh, okay. So, I'm not Saber Spark, but I would gladly take your subscription count if...
No. Maybe I need to introduce myself to the Saber Spark. What do you think? No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I love my Silver Quill more.
My only problem is the delay is throwing me off from everything.
Well, maybe...
you just roll.
I know, but I'm used to seeing myself in the live, like, as I'm doing it.
Well, now, with the delay, you're like, oh my God, I'm doing that. And then the world will see it. I'm like, oh shit, the world sees me doing that.
All right, but
let's get to the point at hand.
Kamen Rider Gavv. Let's see. Episode 42 was...
Well, we can ask Silver Quill. He just recently watched them.
Well, I recently watched 45 through the end. I watched the 42 and 43 a little while ago. Forgive me, I'm just pulling up the Gavv episodes on my computer.
On your computer. At the end of Broken Feelings.
Oh, yes. This is where, because part one last stream was part one where Suga returned as like the Chimera.
The dead body type thing?
Yeah, with all the dead bodies merged into one that had Suga's looks. And it looked like he was taking over Hanto at the end of the episode there.
Oh,
so this episode was our second part of that, where they defeated zombie Suga.
I did like the fact that his movements continued in this episode to be really monstrous and everything and zombie-like. Because I am a huge fan of zombie movies. So it's like The Walking Dead for me.
The hard part I'm trying to remember now is this was the one in the forest, right? Where all the people were being taken over and the shop owner, who turns out to be Shouma's uncle, when they get them out of the trance, they see Sachika is directing them all from the forest, and he's like, oh, are those the Kamen Riders?
Maybe.
I think that was 42.
Let me see what Wiki says.
Well, it doesn't really tell you. That's why I'm...
Well, sometimes they've been getting...
that's
haven't gotten...
I've
Kamen Rider Wiki is hit or miss.
Well, I've pulled up the episode. It's muted on one of my screens, but this is the second part. It is where they're at the beach first, because brother dearest Nilvin, he he wanted basically to drown everybody, just to test and see if this would work, and then the riders intercept and get them and take the fight into the forest. Because as we all know, forests are usually located right next to community beaches.
Well, I thought that's exactly how it works.
Look, I'm sorry, but this is tokusatsu. This is where you punch your opponent out through a building wall, and suddenly you're in a gravel pit.
Well, ironically, we saw for the first episode of Zet, he literally does punch him in a building, and the next thing they're fighting in this like gravelly area, and you're like, that was
but it was a dream.
It's a dream, but it's still like, really? How the hell they get there?
But so I'm trying to remember. God, now they're all blending together since we.
So episode 43, What Does the Human World Taste Like? Is where Boka has assumed a human form and comes to visit the human world with his daughter.
My least favorite character.
Yes.
I actually say I was not a fan of Boka's human form. I don't know why. It didn't fit his voice for me. But I did like the fight in this one.
You didn't like his blonde hair?
It just, the human body didn't fit him.
You want somebody older.
Yeah, well, I think that might have been it. It was just too young for Boka's voice. I know they're technically skins that they're wearing, so it makes sense, but I really do think that they should have went for an older actor for him.
Oh, but you know what? They bought these skins online with using real life currency. So, next he's going to have the flaming hair, which is all the rage.
Well, I was going to say, you spend money on skins. You are going with the most attractive and the one that you wish you were always. You're not going to go for the one that looks old and decrepit. See, that's where I think GTA gets people, is what, GTA 5, you had to make the grandparents appearance, and then it did like the family tree where I think that was GTA. When you had to create a character, you had to create like other people to create your character. Yeah, that's how you had to
Maybe, I don't.
You don't remember?
I just remember that all the character options in GTA Online looked like butt ugly munchkins.
Well, I'm thinking of just 5.
That's what I'm saying. GTA Online, they all look like butt ugly munchkins.
Oh, speaking of butt ugly munchkins, I'm playing Skyrim.
What?
The DLC. The DLC has butt ugly munchkins of all things.
But if I recall, the fight sequence in that one was pretty damn awesome. Now, episode 44, I fully remember because I hated this episode. Half of it was a damn clip show.
Well, he didn't get to talk about 43.
Oh, well, okay.
Well, 43...
Well, it's kind of hard.
43, I mostly just thought, one, this was the only truly self-contained episode I was aware of. Like, there's no part 2, there's no cliffhanger, there's just, wow, we got our asses kicked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, we're getting into, I guess, the clip show is part 2, but not really?
No, it was a self-contained story. Part 2 starts out with the kid from the first episode, thinking about playing a baseball game and remembering Shouma, and they end up running into each other. And he goes to Sachika's shop, and they talk for a little bit. And it showed clips from throughout the show, and then it showed us this family tree for the Stomach family. Going through who the grandfather was, the father, or the creators of the Stomach family, showed us that Longo had poisoned his dad to kill him. So he assassinated his dad. And then it goes, Niev is in the room of all the Monsters, Inc. room with all the doors. And he starts talking about how that there's different dimensions in a few of the doors. He opens one up, and suddenly it shows us Glata and Shita are alive in this like cafe area, and then it ends with a guy who's cosplaying as Dracula from Castlevania talking about stuff, and he pulls out his own driver, and the episode ends with him walking because it leads into the movie apparently.
And that's the thing. The movie tie-in is frustrating. Not in Japan, okay, the movie's out, you go see it. It's effective marketing. I'm not debating that. But then, of all things, we here in America are going to have to wait a whole year or so before we get to find out what was going on there.
Yes.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
It was just, I didn't give a damn about anything happening in the episode at this point. Nothing relevant came out of it because, like I said, it was partial clip show, and this kid, it was cool to see him again, but I think it would have been more impactful had he actually shown up earlier in the show again, rather than this clip show episode.
He was the smartest kid I've seen in a lot of tokusatsu for years. He understood the meaning, stranger danger.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have the putz in Zeds that just leaves with a stranger.
Oh, don't call her a putt. She's a child.
But, so then next kicks off our 6-part finale with our 2 episodes first of Neo recruiting Shouma to help assassinate Boca.
What do you think of that?
Well, I like that Shouma didn't simply say, okay, I'll do it, like an idiot. No, first he demanded, you have to bring me all the anthropresses. Help me rescue all the people to show your intent. And he's like, oh, okay, consider it done. Good. Oh.
Well, that was crazy when he's like, consider it done.
And then, well, you could feel it. The Shouma is just, he's acknowledging he's got to go. And of all things, well, as we'll get into in the second part, all these different relationships in place, but it really does show how much Earth has made an impact on Shouma and how sad, but he's willing to give it all up. And that's one of the things I like about the Kamen Riders over Super Sentai. They usually have to really make a huge sacrifice play to end things.
Oh, absolutely.
Now,
and I know somebody put in the comments about them watching Ryuki and Fies. Like, oh my God, those are 2 shows that definitely have to do sacrifice plays. And I really think this show harkens back to that sacrifice, because I feel like this 6-part finale, almost everybody is having to make a sacrifice of one way or another.
I did love Shouma when he was dressed up as Neo. He looked just like him.
Oh, absolutely. I was like, wow, that's a good cosplay. Like, at first I thought it was actually Neo just acting like the mannerisms of Shouma.
Oh yeah, I was fooled as well. I look at the screen, it's like, wait, did they switch on me? No.
Oh, we had finally gotten to see Niev's Brownwood form, which was Yurgamander.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, I like when Niev takes Jeeb and what's her name?
Oh,
Lizelle to the server room or whatever it was.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, and then Shouma is dressed up as Niev to go to Boca. Now I do think Niev was legit in saying to Shouma, I was the one who freed you so you could escape from the ground new world.
Oh, I wondered about a lot of his stuff. While some of it was very suspicious, I wondered about his allegiances early on. What about you?
Me?
Yes, you.
Oh, okay.
Silver Quill.
Yes. Well, he was sincere in just about everything he said, but this is a guy who apparently has accepted he can't be in the forefront. He's not going to be the face of the stomach, so he'll just lead from the rear.
Yeah.
Kinky. But we got the flashback. we got the flashback of when he was a kid, and it seems like everyone in this family sucks. Even the grandpa.
God, yes.
Even the grandpa looks down and says, "Oh, you fell. Well, that's just unacceptable." He's a kid.
No, the only two family members that were good were Great Uncle Dende. I know, but I like Dende. Great Uncle Dente, or Al Dente, and Shouma. Those are the only two good stomachs.
That's right. The others are just an ulcer.
They didn't have a stomach for it.
Yeah, but now their family is going belly up.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. You guys are
See,
now...
this is why you're excited to do this at home, because now you have all your sound effects.
That's right. You're in my world now. But he's clever, but there are two things that he doesn't allow himself, and those are his tragic flaws. One, he doesn't ask what can go wrong, because he never has an out. Oh, I suddenly can't hear y'all.
Oh.
Can you hear us?
I can now, yes. And,
okay.
And two, he never stops to question what the other side is planning. He's so used to being the great schemer, he doesn't stop to think someone else might be doing the scheming.
Well, yes.
Well, and that's ultimately his downfall. But I did love the fight between Shouma and Boga. I also liked, this was when Longo was snooping about, and Sachika confronts him, right?
That's in the next part.
Yes, part 2.
I thought it was when Shouma was in the...
Part 2.
Well, now I'm having to double check myself.
Because it was with Hanto and Rakia. Longo says, just so you know, you need to go rescue Shouma because he's trying to... So, and it's where Sachika, because Sachika's following Longo around, or saw Longo earlier in the hood. He yelled at her, she left. Then later, she sees him again, starts screaming at him, and Rakia and Hanto
her arms and drag her away.
And because he's like, you don't understand what it's like to run a business. I need to keep your employees happy. And she's like, excuse me? I run a business. I am the one who exactly knows what it's like. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, that scene, though, it kind of harkened back to her having the pink detonator a lot. Well, no, the detonator wasn't pink, just the chainsaw.
The pink chainsaw and the TNT.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, this woman has everything.
And yet the best commentary on her character is yet to come.
But yeah, because he opens up the door so Hanto and Rakia can go save Shouma, who's currently getting his ass whooped by Boga.
Yes.
And we have that Shake It song playing while they're fighting Boga. Well, he's fighting Boga. That was a pretty awesome fight.
It was, although when your enemy just says bow down and suddenly you're like, okay, what?
Oh, yes.
Look,
that was awesome.
It's like Kagome with Sit Boy in Inuyasha.
Yeah. Yep. Utsoi.
Boom.
But I also loved thinking of when he's like, bow down. I only think of General Zod. It's just...
But yeah, Boka whooped his ass. And I think that was the first time we got to see Boka's true monster form, or was that the next episode?
Next episode. This one, he was still holding back.
Okay. But then they rescue him and get back to the real world. And Niev is now going to be punished for his assassination attempt.
Which it seems like Boka knew, like, the entire time. So it makes me wonder where all of his spies are, because Jeeb and Lizelle had no idea.
I think it's just that Boka is really good at reading others. So he's like, okay, this little schemer, I can't trust him as far as I can throw him. And even though I can throw him hella far. Mm-hmm. So what's he going to try? How am I going to spoil it? It's basically anytime he's asked to hand over something, he doesn't do so until he knows he has a counter.
Yes.
So before we continue on talking about this fight, should we go through some of the comments? All right. We are, let's see, the last one we read, Star Wars fan says hello.
Hello.
Let's see. Yeah, your Ben Goldman said they're watching Ryuki 5. Star Wars fan, did they know what was in their head? Sorry, Zombies by Cranberries reference.
Oh, God, I love that song.
My friend is a fan of horror films, one of the best ones. And did they really need a recap episode? It felt unneeded. I agree. The Scorpio says hello. Hello.
I still think you're like this mass leader of the secret organization.
We are doing good. It's been just one of those days. I'm almost done editing my Kamen Rider X review. She's been working at work. What have you been doing today, Silver Quill?
Oh, I got a new security system installed in my home. So that featured a lot of getting things ready. But now I won't have the damn thing beeping at me at 1:30 in the morning. Bah!
You should get a cat. They make sure to keep you up and at them in the middle of the night.
I refuse.
They were also doing fire alarm testing in our building today.
Oh, Lord.
So we had the fire alarm going off for about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yes, about an hour and a half, because it was during an entire all-staff meeting that I needed to concentrate and participate in.
The funniest part was she says, I think the alarm's off, so I can talk now. And she says 3 words, and the alarm starts going off.
And after a while, because I had to participate, I'm like, you're just going to have to listen to the alarm just along with me. Just hear me.
That will be as good as the premiere. Looks promising. Emilio Lobato. Hello.
Tomarigato, Emilio Lobato.
Ben Goldman said they started college yesterday.
Congratulations. Where are you going to school for?
Emilio says, why do you hate episode 44 of Gavv? Like I said, it's because it's a clip show, movie tie-in. It's an absolutely worthless episode that has no business existing.
He has an issue with clip shows because of one particular anime series and very many Ultraman series, doing a lot of them. He's triggered by clip shows.
Especially
you literally are.
Especially with Ultraman triggers clip shows. That's a double trigger.
No, Simpsons has pretty entertaining clip shows.
Oh, yes, but still, you are triggered by clip shows.
Oh, yes, I am. Let's see, Cherry Flupbilly said they had to leave for a little bit. What did you miss? A lot of stuff.
We talked about you a little bit.
What is the Gavv movie? The Gavv movie name is... Let's see.
Wow, he's very helpful with this. Great.
Invaders of the House of Snacks.
Not the House of Snacks. That's sacred ground. Although
that is the name.
I do want to comment on episode 44 real quick. There's one thing in there I noticed while scrubbing through that would come back into play at the very final episode.
What's that?
The scene where all the expired members of the Stomach family are reflecting. Their eyes are closed, they're lying down, and there's feathers everywhere, white feathers everywhere. And I was like, did someone slash a pillow? But then when Longo we get to him, we'll get to him.
Well, same with Niev.
Yeah.
Nev had feathers spread around too. So EA Games says episode 44, I still don't like clip shows. This one I had in the background is aired, and then there was the movie tie-in at the end. Dragon Ziran is here. Hello, Dragon Ziran.
Hi.
Oh, so the EA Games said House of the Invaders. I think House of the or Invaders of the Snack House or whatever I just said.
Invaders of.
Oh yeah, Invaders of the House of Snacks. Emilio says, "Okay, thanks." Emilio, we have a separate live stream on Zets, so check out that because Silver Quill hasn't watched it yet.
But we do want to still do live streams with Silver Quill, which is why we're doing this, so we can start doing Zets together.
Yes.
And be Zets fully clean.
You're not fully clean.
Niev's death was basically a plan gone wrong.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then I'll finish these three and we'll talk about that. Montgomery College.
Oh, cool. Actually, I know Montgomery College. I recruit from there. Very cool. That's a good school, by the way.
So, Silver Quill.
Yeah.
Since you're saying I'm triggered by clip shows.
What?
Star Wars fan wanted me to remind you, Tachibana.
Oh, see, now you've done it. Now my rage is growing. This is me being angry. How dare you, Star Wars fan? Oh, I'm shaking my fist at you. I'm shaking my fist. Look, this is my fist. You. Oh, if I could get 3D on this thing.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
Oh, wait, I could get it. If I could just get myself, like, proportional to these two.
There you go.
It's almost like I'm sitting on the sofa.
And Ben, I
Now you just grew too big.
that's fine.
Magic wand, make my Silver Quill grow.
But yes, making friends at college.
No, that's actually well behind where that is. Because it's just showing us on our screen now when you grew the screen and did the fish shape.
Oh, I've seen it all. But no, that's awesome. I remember one of my 4 times going to college. Yeah, because I'm sick. My first time going to college, I actually made so many friends, but they were all like super older than me. But it was a lot of fun because I felt like, ooh, I'm an adult. And then I remembered, oh shit, I'm an adult. I have to be up until 3:00 in the morning to study for a test. But no,
adulthood, where you pretend you know what you're doing.
But no, college, I made a lot of friends. Did you make friends in college?
No, because I really didn't give a crap about any of them.
You didn't give a crap about college to begin with.
Yeah, it was just...
You did it because your parents told you to.
Basically, yes.
How about you, Silver?
Freshman year of college, I didn't do so great in the friends department. But sophomore year, I made friends with a whole bunch of folks, and they were all like a year behind me. And I made some friends who were a year or two ahead of me. I don't do well in the peer area, present company excluded, but I do great with people who are younger than me, which reminds me, actually, you two are not present company in that regard. Marcus is younger than I. Kaiju is younger than I. Cruellica is 25.
No, I'm going to be 30 again this year.
Okay.
Plus expensive shipping and handling.
Well, now you can say shipping with tariffs.
There you go.
Well, it won't be 27 plus tariffs. But no, I'm actually...
It's very terrifying.
11 days older than Silver. I think that's why we do well together, because I'm older than you and he's younger than you.
But we do seem to make friends outside of our expected peer range.
Oh, absolutely. I've never had a great time making friends in my peer range. I've always had friends who were older than me by a year or two or more, or had friends who were younger than me. Even I've only had one boyfriend who was actually my age, and that didn't last very long. So, wow. What does that say about us being 80s, like 1980 kids, that we could not make friends with our peer groups?
Because the 80s were not a big mark in history, as far as I'm aware. But then again, no, wait, the Berlin Wall got knocked down in the 80s, didn't it?
All right.
Happy soon birthday, Star Wars fan. Technically 18 plus 3 shipping and handling in October, but 21. That was a good year.
I haven't been 21 since I was 21.
Really?
Yep.
I was 21 once, but I only tried it for about a year.
No, and Star Wars fan, nobody ever worry about making us feel old. I do a very good job of that on my own with my coworkers when I'm like, do you know who Elvis Presley is or the Beatles? And they stare at me blankly.
See, I had perfect revenge because when my students, they'd be like, so-and-so, I'll be like, who's that? You don't know who that is? No. Do you like Boris Karloff? Who's that? You don't know who that is?
But yes, I think the A Games, maybe we should do like a college field trip episode and we can talk about our crazy college. I'll talk about my crazy college experiences and include Silver Quill and Kaiju to talk about their experiences. Because I doubt either of you had crazy college experience.
You were there for my college experience.
And then I'm your crazy college experience.
True.
Oh, also just
and
for...
I bet you had...
I had some interesting adventures in college. But...
And...
Also,
Go ahead.
Just for the record, the Berlin Wall fell November 9th, 1989. So it was on the cusp of the more interesting 90s.
Yeah, that's very true.
Maybe that's it. We just realized that the 1980s group was kind of boring, so we hopped ahead to the older or the youngins.
All right.
But last comment that I'll respond to. Sadly, no, I'm not going to be watching the Commanders-Packers game tomorrow. I typically only really follow the Buffalo Bills because, God damn it, they're going to have to go back to the Super Bowl again someday, right? To win?
They won the game the other day, barely. They won 41-40, I guess.
Yeah.
Damn. Go Bills!
But, okay, so the winner of your Packers, who's the Commanders?
They used to be the Washington Redskins. They were the Washington Commanders.
Okay. But, so the Redskins versus...
Redskins, the Commanders.
Whatever. The winner will be the team with the most points.
I don't know shit.
Well, I can predict the score for you right now. The game hasn't started, so it's 0-0.
All right, moving back on to series.
Okay, so...
And hi, Box Night.
So our next batch of episodes is we have Niev. The plot is they use these little gochizos to manipulate people to follow their commands, kind of like what he was doing with Sugita. And this is like, after this is when they're going to execute Niev, and Nev's like, well, can I just try to defeat Shouma to prove my loyalty? And so we had the owner, the sweet shop owner, and Sachika got taken under control. Mm-hmm. So when they walk in, what was it? They were hitting stuff with a hammer.
Oh,
yeah.
They were getting their inner Gallagher on. It was whack the watermelon.
Yes. You even made the Gallagher.
Oh, yes.
I think it's a popular game in Japan, but...
Oh, it is. Because it's kind of like a cultural thing during the end of summer.
Actually, there is one thing, though. Back during the episode when Hanto and Rakia were going to retrieve Shouma, I will say the scene of them running looked really bad.
Oh, the CG was pretty bad in that episode.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, not their best work. But, yeah, so we have the really cool fight sequence between Niev and Shouma. When they come up with, Rakia finally comes up with his cure for this.
Basically his slime.
And
they say it like that.
And this is when Sachika found out Rakia had previously helped capture humans for the Dark Confession.
And he was so depressed.
Well, I mean that. But I like Sachika. I think has been one of the better female characters in Kamen Rider. She's not just. She's not as weirdly detached as in Geo or Wizard.
Well, I found that, like, there was one guy, his biggest beef that took away from the show is because there wasn't a female rider, and all these people agreed that she should have been a female rider. I'm like, I don't think it would have worked her being a female rider. Yeah, they probably could have done it, but I think it would have taken away from her character, because we had a character whose development was through her actions, not through exposition.
You know, it may be, this is me getting a tinfoil hat on. It may be the opening that plants that view, because you have those scenes where all the characters are walking and they're the bubbles with all the different Kamen Rider forms. But Sachika has none. And it's like, you're waiting for it to appear there. And
you are. But, oh, go ahead.
In this episode, Niev, when he bites the big one, I actually watched the intro to the next episode in full just to see if he would dust as like the rest of the family. And he did. They were...
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Because there was a part of me at the end of the episode that I'm like, is he still alive?
Well, yeah, because when he goes boom, he's just boom. And you just have feathers everywhere. I was like, wait, is he really dead? Like, dead? And then I was like, no shit, he's dead.
Also, it's worth noting that white feathers, while not necessarily Nordic, as these forms are, they represent a divine presence, angelic guidance, peace, comfort during grief, and confirmation of your life path. Which, when you think about it, a big theme with the Stomach family is that all of them are stuck on the road of serving the family, almost like the Lannisters in Game of Thrones. But none of them really enjoys it. None of them is okay with their life.
No, none of them were happy because, well, Lota, she was never happy because she was always seen as the girl, even though that's not really who she was. Yev was seen like the second best, not as confident and strong as Longo. And then you have the twins, Shita and Jib, who were treated like unnecessary, just like Shouma was, just in different ways. They were treated as unnecessary by their parents and grandparents just as much as their siblings, where Shouma was treated like unnecessary because he's half human.
Well, that and the dad favored Shouma over
everyone else, and I think
probably because of how innocent Shouma was.
And I think it was hard for the twins with Shouma because they were practically the same age. So the question was, well, what's the point of us then if you love him more? So I feel like the Stomach family, even Shouma in a way, they were just dealt a terrible hand every which way.
So, but you can pity them without affirming their actions.
Yes.
Which actually I'll get into Longo when we get to the final episode. But, yeah, Niev was the one that really wasn't the evil, like he participated in everything. So he knew, that's what I love. If anyone was going to get a redemption arc, it would be Niev, and he didn't get a redemption arc. So it worked that none of the Stomach family got a redemption arc. Because all their acts were irredeemable.
Which, let's get into the
well, but before that though, I love the plot though that Niev's like, yeah, I'm going to blow up all the Gochizos on you, hits the button, and Boka's like, yeah, about that. I already planned for that. Boom, boom, went Niev.
Oh, I know. That was like, okay. This is what we're doing.
So then our next episode.
Oh, sorry, can I just interrupt real quick? I do think it's for such a brilliant scientist and schemer, it feels especially frustrating that his final word was, huh?
And yet it was fitting.
And we're on episode 47?
49. 48 was Niev's. 47. Yes, that's right. Because that's when they confront Longo to team up to fight Boca.
Yes, because Boca has now officially launched, even further, the Human World Branching Project, which every vampire movie has at some point before in the 80s and 90s when it wasn't related to Dracula. Well, think of even Dracula 2000 when they went the whole Judas route. They're like, yeah, we're going to make humans the food. And then you think about Trinity Blood. We're going to make humans the food. And so many other things.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Humans the food.
Well, the food for the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, yes, that's food.
And don't forget.
And then we had.
Don't forget the Twilight Zone. It's a cookbook. A cookbook.
And then we had Soylent Green.
Mm-hmm.
When they're people.
Our confections are people.
And rhubarb are people. If you haven't played Portal.
Well, so we've got Sachika is a bit weary of Rakia right now. I think, or did we finish that in the last one?
I think that was finished in the last one.
Where she accepted him for who he is.
Yes.
And he squat pressed a cement block, although it was a very styrofoamy looking cement block.
Wait. No. We are on 48 because 46.
45 and 46 were Nev's
proposal. 47 is when Yelp dies. So you were right.
Okay.
It really does blend all together when we marathon it because it's such a ongoing serialized story.
Which was nice. But yeah, so we have the final assassination of Boca, where Longo teams up and they have their little tussle, their showdown with him. Which I loved. Was that the fight where he used all his forms, or was that the
Yes, because he got a new form too.
Well, he didn't use all his forms, but
no.
Okay, so that was the fight with Longo.
Gavv Amazing Gummy form.
So actually, it's kind of funny.
Only appearance of the Gavv Amazing Gummy.
It's funny the food in these episodes. This I believe 40 had started with them sharing treats after getting Sachika back to normal, and she tells them, "Here, I put rocks in this one. Anywhere else, that gets you a health and safety violation." Very unique. Meanwhile, I love Rakia's reaction when he tries the cure on Sachika and frees her from the Anthropress, which props to him for using a distasteful method to achieve a positive result. But when he looks right at the camera and says, "I can't tell if she's cured or not." And before then, even Shouma says, "Oh yeah, Sachika's acting like normal, but the candy store owner, he shouldn't be acting like this." It's like,
yes, that was hilarious. And then, with Sachika.
You know, I think I just figured out one thing that makes Sachika such an appealing character. In so many animes and a couple Toku shows, to have a strong-willed female lead, she has to punch or otherwise physically assault the protagonists. Sachika does not have to do that. The most violent she got was getting in Longo's face, which that takes serious guts in and of itself. But she's just nice and really interesting. It's nice to see that kind of interaction.
It's weird.
Terrifying.
I know.
It's weird because, it is just weird to have this character who is legitimately nice, uses her wealth to help other people,
We still don't know how she gets this wealth. That's the only untold story of the suits.
It will be a side story. The untold story of Sachika. And maybe they can have a dream sequence of Sachika thinking what she'd be like as a Kamen Rider.
So what did you all think about the fight between Boca, the three riders, and Longo?
I loved it. I loved Longo knifing Boca in the back.
That was one of the more powerful moments. Just wish that he could say, "The Stomach family sends their regards."
Oh, I did love that Longo did have a scar on his face.
But the transformation of all three riders at once, some of the comments mentions the Three Musketeers, is very fitting. Mm-hmm. But after a while, I thought it was very polite of Boca to wait for them to transform. He's keeping to that bit of civility in Toku, at least. And two, after a while, there's going to be a noise complaint because of how elaborate and loud these transformations are.
Oh my lord! I know it. Watching them, it kind of reminded me of Build when they had the same thing, and they're all like subtly different for their transformations, and it's almost like it's so overwhelming sometimes because you're trying to figure out what to watch.
I mean, think of the Blade movie where all four riders transformed while on bikes. Henshin on motorcycles. It was 4 cards go out and they pass through them. That's nice. It's unifying. This one is an array, an assault. I'm now going to picture in every tokusatsu there's an old man on a porch where like, "You Toku kids, you turned that music down. Try to rest here."
Oh God, now I'm going to think of Miss Koreitsu when they're in the bar talking about the grunts talking about their war stories, and they're going to have these transformations, you guys, are just so excessive. And the only reason we don't attack half the time is because we're just so confused with what's going on. It's so triggering, these sparkly lights, and everything's everywhere. Like, this one guy looked like he was drowning in pudding. How can you attack that? Oh, I have one better. I had an entire series, half a series where people were drowning in soda.
Actually, that would be an interesting series. Grunts After Dark. And it's just various foot soldiers from the series sitting in a bar talking about their stories.
The Grunt Bar.
Oh man, back in my day when they transformed, all you saw was a little spinning wheel and a kind of a semblance of a light, and then it looked like a brand new person where they were standing. It was amazing. It was like you had the camera pause, somebody ran off screen, and somebody else ran new on screen. It was perfect.
I'm suddenly wanting to have just a bar with, maybe we can use Kaiju's various figures.
Oh God! But yeah, I love the transformation sequences when they were all together. Though it also works if there were only 3 riders in this show.
Well, I agree with not to get too far, but Rajik Rasul, hello, mentions, "I'm happy there's no Dark Rider form for Longo." I just have to say, even though Suga had a Dark Rider form, and Rakia as well for a little bit, neither overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, it was just cookies. It was gone before you got sick of it.
Did we have to accept the cookies first, though, and then purge our temporary internet files?
Well, we didn't have to toss them. Oh, it's having an impact. Excellent.
Impact. But yes, I am also happy that there were no evil riders in this series. The villains were not taken over by evil riders like we did in Revice, where the Deadmans were given the boot halfway through the show.
Well, here's a question for both of you, as well as everyone in the chat. Did you think Boca got taken out too easily. And hear me out before you answer. Because of the fact that he was only in for, maybe 20 episodes? He wasn't in very long, even to be considered the big bad. Do you think he was taken out too easily? I don't think so, but I am open to other opinions because there's no right or wrong answer.
I don't think he was taken out too easily at all. I mean, it took 4 of them to take him out.
And a new form.
True.
And he wasn't the big bad of the show. Longo was the big bad from the beginning to the end.
In a sense, Boku is the bigger bad, but not the more personal connection.
True. Okay. No, that's fair. It's just, I could see an argument, if others had that, of Boka being taken out too easily.
The bigger argument I've seen people have is that they felt Boka overshadowed the Stomach family. That Lizelle and Boka took over their roles, diminishing their roles in the show.
I could see that too.
I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. But I feel like the Lizelle and Boka showed us gave more development for the grounded world itself. Because the way the show seemed is that the Stomach family were the leaders of the grounded world, and it was just a world run by a corporation.
True.
Bringing in Lizelle and Boka expanded that world, showing that it's actually a democracy, like in a way that Russia's a democracy.
No, they've always been.
But they have elections.
Oh, yeah.
And, but there's a president. So the leader is voted in, and he has to purchase the support from other corporations. For his political
other elites, because the Stomach family was not on the elite side.
That's what I'm saying.
They could not even vote, it seemed like.
That there's a whole other world that the Stomach family was one little nobody in the grounded world.
Okay.
So by doing what they did in our world, made them a somebody.
What do you think?
Well, let's see here. We have a criminal president who arranges violent outbursts and relies on corporate greed and buying votes in order to stay in power. You know how people were saying that Superman, the latest Superman, was a critique against current administrations? Honestly, I think it's more telling that when people point out the worst possible scenario and you, the viewer, think of the current administration for or against, that says something.
Wait. Let's ask a question. Let's put a tinfoil hat on this for a moment. Let's put a mini thing. So, when did Boka come into the series? Like, what month around?
Oh. Well, give me your thing.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Because it will tell you what episode he first appeared in.
Okay, you figure that out.
Oh, that's actually pretty easy. I just need to click on Boka.
Oh.
Boka Gel Deck. First appearance, Jib's Surprise Wedding, which was episode 29, April 6th.
Okay.
Well, so that episode, let's say they were 20 weeks behind when they filmed. Because when the show premiered, they already had 20 episodes filmed.
Okay, so even if they had 20 weeks, the election would have been called by the time they were filming this episode.
They probably would have filmed this episode in, December?
Oh my God, my tinfoil hat is saying that maybe, just maybe, no matter what your political allegiances are, I'm not going to belittle anyone, but maybe, just maybe, they got some real life inspiration.
You didn't think of that till just now?
No!
Oh, I thought that back when he first showed up.
Meanwhile, I demand that they release the Gachizo files.
The Anthropress files.
Oh, there you go.
Release the Anthropress files.
I didn't want to go into politics. It was too easy when somebody was making some correlations. I just had to think about that for a moment.
I took the one and I took the two and met them together.
The Shocker Files. Yes.
Oh, the Shocker Files.
That was a Star Wars fan. I like that.
Release the Shocker Files.
Okay, so we have Boca.
Oh, sorry. Before we. Oh, wait. I thought you were turning to the next episode. No, Boca. Please continue.
No, I was going to see. Do we want to do some more comments, or what would you like to do with the Silver Quill?
Well, I just want to talk about the fact that they came up with a one-time use super transformation. Is that kind of a cop-out, or is it the completion of Shouma in that in trying to go back and follow this plan with Gavv to become the new head of the Stomach family, or at least the figurehead, was that the start of him starting to recognize his Granute history and that it's not all bad? It protected him from being anthropressed. It gives him great strength. And when he finally popped those gummies in with rocks, and I thought, oh, no, Shouma, you know where that's been. On the ground, unhealthy. Oh, wait. And that's where he, ironically, his base form, gummies, and rocks lead to a super form that could have been accessed much, much earlier, but he never tried eating those dang rocks.
That's actually a good point. I hadn't thought about that, because it's not that he didn't acknowledge he was half Granute, because obviously he acknowledges Rakia and his ability to redeem himself, but he never leans on his Granute side, except for transforming and having these little gochuzos that commit seppuku each week. But that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
I mean, he did.
That if he never took that.
He did acknowledge he's a Granute in that, oh, am I a monster? But the answer eventually came to the answer is, no, I'm part Granute, but I've changed from what I was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you could say it was a rock solid plan.
You really didn't.
I did. Sorry.
Okay. Wait, just so can we call that form his fruity pebble form?
Although, you know, maybe he's got one more form left. Have you considered a gummies with the power of CBD?
Oh, Lord.
That's his highest form.
Okay, here is a joke, a dad joke that was told at work today.
Uh-oh.
Kind of works, but even. Why are moon rocks better than earth rocks?
Is it cheesy?
They're meatier.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
I was like, oh my God. And I thought about our stream.
Nice.
So there you go. I participated in a funny too.
Good job. Good job. Applause. I'm having far too much fun with that soundboard.
I see that. All right. So
imagine there's a future movie where they have every trio rider group henching at the exact same time.
Oh, Lordy. Actually, what was the first Kamen Rider to have more than 2 riders?
Was it?
Oh, it was the original.
I mean, well, okay, the Shocker Riders feel like a copycat.
No, I mean, because the original show had Nigo and Ichigo.
Well, that's 2 riders, but I'm talking 3 or more.
Oh, 3?
As a core cast, not just having old riders show
Agito.
up. Yes.
Agito.
Agito had 3. And then
it went
Ryuki had infinity, but it still had the best rider. Anybody who thinks they can prove me wrong is incorrect. And Akiyama,
yeah, I know.
Kamen Rider Knight is the best rider ever.
Oh, I thought you would have met the Cobra guy.
No,
that's his.
She's had a Kamen Rider crush on Ren since the first 2 minutes of Ryuki.
Oh my god, it was instantaneous. And he's looking at me like, really?
I've lost you already.
Is this what my girlfriend's going to be? My girlfriend is just going to fangirl over fictional guys.
Well, so A Games asked if we counted, because isn't Bitter Gavv technically an evil rider? Yes, but he wasn't like a permanent evil rider. He was just for a little story arc. So I don't truly count him as a main threat, because he also didn't usurp the Stomach family.
Oh, and Ben, I just wanted to skip to your comment. Never apologize for mentioning anything personal in comments. Everybody does at different times. And today is sharing your story compared to others. So please never be afraid. This is a safe space, even if we're not always PC. And I did miss his comment, but I do like this. I want more Sentai and Kamen Rider shows released in the US because you can only stream some of them on Tokuzilla.
Now, just as a disclaimer, you are not safe from my sound effects here. It's not that safe space.
And never be afraid of being born after 2000s. I think, in a way, you're probably safer that way, because pre-2000, it's so crazy.
We're kind of messed up in a way.
We ate things that potentially had lead in it because people probably licked walls, ate
paint chips.
There was, I don't know, lead paint, lead in our pencils that kids used to write on themselves with. We had all of the sprays around us that nobody thought about it. Sunscreen wasn't a requirement half the time. It was more of an option.
Well, it always is.
And learning how to swim was throwing your kids into the water.
You forgot the biggest one. Our buildings in New York were filled with asbestos.
Oh, yes. So that whatever it
mesothelioma or whatever.
We could probably have this and not know, because I think it's just a fictional disease for commercials.
Because our local library, when we worked there, they didn't get rid of the asbestos until, what was it, summer of 2004?
Exactly. So never be afraid to say you talk about personal things, because we all do. And that just means you're getting older. And because we're all getting older, and far, far away, the children of the corn had an idea, and they should have stuck to it.
I think we've covered all the comments. Which decade has the best?
Baki Bitter Gavv count as an evil rider. I completely forgot about him.
I just said the Bitter Gavv is not like...
Oh, I missed that.
Because they don't really... Not like a main evil rider. They're just there for a quick little story arc.
And I like this comment. Did we mention Kamen Rider Geeks here in this channel before?
Yeah, we talk about Geeks a lot.
They're infinity.
Which decade had the best music? 80s or 2000s? I can't say.
Oh, God. The 80s had such great music. The 80s was a decade of a lot of experimentation. Not that the 90s didn't have kick-ass music, but I love the 80s more.
The problem is you can't really say one decade is better than the other for music, because they all have... every decade.
Like orchestral music that doesn't have words, so you don't count.
But every decade has its amazing songs, its horrible songs.
Okay, what decade do you think has great music, Silver Quill?
Oh, that is a hard one. I feel like in the 2000s, I didn't have as many aha moments of music.
Right?
But
everybody talks about Beyonce and stuff, and it's like, that's great, but...
But for me, The Touch by Stan Bush for the Transformers film is sacrosanct. You cannot surpass it. It's an unfair comparison.
Sad that no Rider alumni in Sentai shows compared to Sentai and Kamen Rider. Yeah, it kind of feels because Kamen Rider is more adult-oriented, they tend not to put them in the
there's also
Sentai shows.
There's also less of them.
And now, if I had to say, you said 80s or 90s. I thought it meant 80s.
I said 80s and 2000s. You just didn't let me finish.
Oh, well, between 80s and 2000s, thousands and thousands percent 80s. I do agree with you, Cherry Fluff Belly. I do. When candy cigarettes were a thing, before they made them bubble gum, when they were like actual stick candies, I would blow on them just to see like the candy dust and pretend I was smoking until I really smoked. Is the Big C worse than fire? The Big C.
Cancer?
Talking about Big C, like that's what I was thinking. I was like, I would think cancer is worse than fire, but I'm Malachi. Who's your favorite Gavv character?
Ooh, which character is my favorite?
And while you're all thinking, I agree with Malachi D. Wildman that 3-liter bottles were awesome back in the day when you were broke the wine on the pump.
I don't know who I'd say is my favorite for Gavv.
Really?
I don't know. Well, they all had equal development. They're all fleshed out. I mean, but
I could say who my favorite is. Junko. Because she did something great. And I never will meet this woman. I'll probably never ever talk to her. But I am so proud of this woman for kicking ass. How about you, Silver Quill?
Thinking about it because, well, like you say, everyone had such great development. There were great characters. It didn't feel like anyone was just there for no reason other than, I don't know, fan service or something. But I will go with Shouma. I really love the energy, the innocence, the fact that he's probably going to need heavy amounts of insulin later on in life.
Maybe the Granute side takes away the diabetes, but...
I pray so.
Yeah.
By the way, I should apologize. I think the mic cuts out when you guys laugh too loud, because I see you laughing, but I don't hear you. And that is unfortunate. That's probably a good thing. Oh, no, I love the sound of your laughter.
I do agree with the A-Games that one of the favorite characters is Sachika's Dynamite. If I went with that, I'd probably go Sachika's Chainsaw. Because that was just brilliant. What are you doing?
I'm trying to find my comment about Gavv that I said online so I can read it off.
You know what you shitpost online? That'll take forever. So when will you guys watch Kamen Rider Zets? So
we already watched the first episode,
but we would like to watch the first and second episode and connect with Mr. Quill to do a live stream to talk about it. So maybe next week sometime.
Yeah, we can make that happen.
Well, if this day works, how about we say Wednesdays? Be there, be square.
Not necessarily.
How does that work for you?
Every Wednesday.
Well, maybe every other Wednesday, but yeah, I can make that work.
Sounds good to me. And next Wednesday, we will do Zets. Then we'll take like a week break. And then the week after, we'll do the next couple of episodes of Zest
and
talk about what we think of the main character. And then I can go on and on and on and on about how it makes me feel like Persona.
What are you looking
for? Ren!
Watching Ren show off to the camera.
My God, why can I not find my post? It's from August 31st. Hold on, I'm almost there.
I can play with my blending modes as well. Oh, now I'm so dark. Look. Oh, I'm superimposing over Marcus.
Well, we can't see it because of the delay.
It's right there.
Well, now it's there.
But I see it better.
All right, so our final two episodes is Long Go. So being like, ha ha ha, I have totally betrayed you. I was not going to actually help you.
And everyone who is surprised by that deserves an award.
I thought a head smack.
Everybody who was not surprised deserves applause.
Well,
but I wasn't surprised by Longo changing his mind and saying no.
I mean,
I am now living my final villain dream.
Well, Shouma even said, look, leave the human world alone. And Longo was very honest. He said, no, can't do that. So it's like, is this really a betrayal when he was pretty straightforward about his plans?
No.
Although I did love Hunty's statement. It's not like I trust him, but did he have to do it right so fast?
Oh, I know. That was
hilarious when he is like that. But yeah, I loved how Longo, he just ups and betrays them, uses the gachazos, because he's going to have everyone just walk into becoming confections.
And I did like when Longo goes in and tells Jeeb and Lizelle what's going on. And Jeeb's like, wait, you're alive? And when Lizelle finds out that Daddy is gone, I will say the actress did a great job of going from her flippant personality to actually seeing all of the dread and like shock and sadness, especially when she's with Jeeb and she mentions, is this what you felt like? And not finding it beautiful any longer. That she's like, she didn't say it, but you almost got the feeling she would say, there is no beauty in this sadness. And I thought that was really well done.
It's funny, Lizelle is probably not a least favorite in the sense that she was poorly written or acted, but that I have found that I've become resentful of people, especially characters, who seem to be enjoying other people's suffering without risking anything themselves. It's like the in Geats, the lady who took over the tournament for a time.
Oh yeah.
And to top it off, I've always had this thing where, the innocent girl turns out to be the sociopath. And it's like, I'm used to the idea that kids love freely. They give you their love and wait for a return investment. Seeing this twisted upsets me on a fundamental level.
Well, I didn't think of Lizelle as necessarily or inherently twisted. I thought of her.
She was groomed to be a selfish killer.
Well, I don't think the killer aspect. I think she was truthfully groomed to be selfish. That she wasn't taught any other way. But with the way she loved Jeeb.
Well, I was going to say,
because she truly loved him.
Well, that's what I was going to say at the end there. When Jeeb said something, and Lizelle suddenly is like, but had this thought that she actually does care for Jeeb, and then it happened again where Jeeb realizes he actually cares for Lizelle.
Like she she was selfish, but she was one of those characters I always took is literally had her heart on her sleeve, but didn't know how to express it appropriately. Think of somebody who has a developmental disability that doesn't always know how to express the emotions appropriately. I've always taken her as that type of character, that she doesn't know what emotion is appropriate, and she just expresses what she feels is correct in the moment. And not necessarily is it always good, but it's her. But I do agree with what you're saying, because there is a frustration when you see this cute and sweet, like Modica Magica. Everybody talks about like some of the characters in that anime, and I can see it because even our friend Christopher's Bloodborne likes this trope of where they're super cute and then they just turn monstrous.
When they cry.
Well, exactly. And don't get me wrong, When They Cry is a great horror anime, but I'm not a fan of that trope either, because yes, it does always say don't judge a book by its cover. But when it's overdone, like what you're saying, it can become so frustrating and not make you take that character seriously.
Well, it's not that I'm frustrated by a cliche. It's just that it really sparks on something fundamental that you're like, oh, you see a kid, you think that they're going to be learning, they're going to be at least curious about the world, and then you see this twisted behavior, groomed or by some moral vacuum. But it's just, wow, that's pretty messed up.
Oh, absolutely.
I wonder what the twisted child trope.
So we have our final battle, Lango, which, well, I loved how they end up splitting up. We have Hanto and Rakia in Grounded World, retrieving all the Anthropresses, which they did, which is like, wow, that's all they had left for Anthropresses. That's kind of depressing.
I mean, I know that they got all of them thanks to Neville, but yeah, I thought, wow, they didn't. That must have been a small section of the city that they claimed.
I know,
but then so we have that plot. Then they get split up. I loved how then we have Hanto fighting Lizelle and Jeeb. We've got Shouma after using his rain cloud stuff with Lango. And then we have Rakia in the Grounded World destroying the doors. And we have Hanto showing his complete character growth to the entire show, saying, if you leave right now, we're good. To Lizelle and Jeeb. So he went from totally, I'm going to kill every single Grounded to, you're Groundeds, you've done bad things, but if you want to go, go.
No, I actually thought that was really big of him. And I actually originally was kind of shocked by it because it caught me off guard. But I do think he was standing on the moral high ground. What did you think?
Well, I thought they were on the street, so I didn't see a lot of high ground, really. But sorry, I can never hear that phrase again without thinking of Obi-Wan. It does show...
I have high ground!
It does show a lot of growth on both characters' parts. Even that Rakia, as he's falling, having destroyed things, but I don't know, I guess you destroy too many doors and the whole thing collapses. I appreciated he was willing and even at peace with, look, it sucks I gotta go, but at least I'll get to see my little brother. Funny enough, kind of like Sheeta. No. The twins. But then his puddings jump through the portals like, get back to here, you little bastards!
Well, I love how Rakia's final words in the door with the doors was, "This sucks."
And I thought, well, I'm sure he'll be back for the movie, but he...
Well, I also thought the fight between Hanto and Jeep was really good, especially Jeep protecting Lizelle. Mm-hmm. But then when Hanto does the final strike and it takes Jeep out, I like how he collapses into Lizelle's arms and she's like, no, you can't. Because I think she guessed he was going to die. And his last thing before going back to Lizelle was seeing his twin and them speaking that they'll finally be together again.
Yep. And then poof.
And then you literally see Lizelle break.
Well, she, I think, had the best thing. She's now homeless, stranded in a world that's not hers, has no one to care for her, and so she's got the worst scenarios happen to her.
And what did you think about all of that, Mr. Quill?
Well, I did like how she said, "This is how you felt, isn't it?" And we understand saving a loved one, and it's okay to go as long as they survive.
Yes.
So again, and then there's the white feathers. It's the peace at the end of a very difficult road.
But then then one thing I love though, Shouma with his showdown with Longo, when Longo's doing his whole speech of like, everything I've done for the family and you made us miserable, and Shouma's like, shut the hell up. You have never been happy at all ever since I've known you. You are so full of shit.
And this whole for the family thing, it didn't work for Tyrion. And Tywin didn't fare much better.
I loved how he called Longo out on that, pretty much saying that Longo is the exact opposite to Shouma. Shouma was all about the family, trying to do what was best, but also at the same time helping people. Longo was just selfish all the time, no matter what excuse he uses.
Although I also love the reversal. It's like Shota saying, "You and I are the same," and Longo's over here, "That's not true. That's impossible."
Well, I love their fight. I love Longo when he pulls up the wings and is attacking from the sky, and Shouma has to basically cut one wing off to ground him.
Was he a one-winged angel?
Yes.
And
then when we have our final confrontation, Shouma does his final kick. And usually you expect, oh, he's hit him. Now we're going to have this final boss little monologue about, I can't believe I've been beaten. Oh, blah, blah, blah. No, it's just kick. Boom. There goes Longo. No monologue.
So Longo.
So Longo. I'm surprised you didn't do a drum roll for that one.
Didn't want to break the batteries. But also I noticed that since he's going with an arm, it's not as long as the legs, so he just never connected. You might say that Shouma got a leg up on him. Thank you.
Well, but the ending was really good too, even though you can know that there's going to be some type of post-series content coming based on everything of how it ended. I love that we got to see Rakia in the grounded world.
With one of the Gochuzos.
Yes, one Gochuzo.
The one loyal.
I did love that Shouma did not tell his uncle who he is, but the uncle has figured it out, deduced from everything going on.
And looking at his notebook.
Oh, yes. Deduced from that he figured it out, but he's not saying anything if Shouma doesn't say something.
Well, and, it's kind of funny. This is a Kamen Rider where it seems like all the heroes don't have to make the big sacrifice. I mean, really, Rakia's got it the hardest as he's cut off from the human world. But that'll change in the movie. Probably.
I hope so. I know that sounds so silly because it's a conclusive ending, but I feel like Rakia had his surrogate family, and at least he has a part of that with one of the Gochizos, but it's like, in a way, bittersweet because he lost his family again.
Although, please let it be a better reunion than the Don Brothers Zenkaiger film. Yeah, that's the way to bring down the mood. Mention that movie.
But overall, I thought it was a solid series. In fact, my description of the series, I'm going to read this off because it's full of puns.
Oh, God.
It was a delicious ride of enjoyment that was always popping for a good time. We got an allegory for drug addiction through the use of candy with a solid cart of characters. The show was fantastic at balancing the sweet with the sour moments. It creams all shows after dying.
And so
your final thought before I go with mine.
It is so funny to me that the silliest henshin themes, fruit samurai, candy armor, have some of the darkest but best developed characters, best story arcs, and just really enjoyable series overall. But I wouldn't buy the Gavv driver because it just doesn't appeal to me stylistically. So
no.
It's so it's just funny to me, but the sillier the henshin theme I found, the better the show. Because Gaim is still up there.
Well, I feel like they write a serious story around a goofy henshin device because the goofy henshin device is offsetting the dark and seriousness of the plot.
Well, one thing that I've read about, and I don't know the accuracy of it because I saw it on the internet, so we know how true that could potentially be.
100%.
But I heard, exactly. But I've seen some things talked about how drug abuse is on the rise in Japan in different ways. And even without the drug aspect of narcotics, there's so much addiction going on in the world right now, because if you think about it, we have technology addiction, we have celebrity addiction, we have so much that we can get addicted to, even gambling.
People are living in luxury poverty.
I find that to be the most fascinating thing, but it's true. And having been someone who has been addicted to multiple things, not just narcotics, but other things, I will say that the storytelling rings so true when you see some of these granuts doing it for the dark confection. And it makes me wonder who, when they came up with the story idea, be it Junko, be it one of the producers, be it somebody else in some way, shape, or form, somebody who participated in this had to either live through some sort of addiction before or knew someone who was going through addiction, because the way it was written was extremely authentic with that dark undertone, that there were times it was jarring that you're like, this is on morning TV, that it's geared to kids, even though it's more adult-like. And people are still tuning in. Like even parents who might sometimes be not listening completely, but still around, if they hear it or sit down and watch it with their kids, are not turning it off like, okay, this is a little too much. So I am really impressed with the storytelling, with the show itself. The characters were great. it was fun at the same time. That's the other thing I don't want to take away from it. Even though it had a dark story and craziest henshin device that I've seen in a long time, especially without being so neon for some of the designs, it still had fun with itself. Like, even when it took itself seriously, it still didn't lose elements of humor or positivity. When you think about, like, the Granut who killed Hanto's mom, while that was tragic and we heard about it so much through the series, and when you meet the man, he is nothing like the villain he once was, and you see that element of hope as well. And even though he dies, and he doesn't die by Hanto, but by somebody completely different, you get that feeling of it can be okay. And I think that was amazing to see in a series, because sometimes Kamen Rider doesn't always remember, or not even tokusatsu, for their audience of kids, doesn't remember to say bad things are going to happen. You're going to see people do bad things, or you may, but there's always another side to it. And people can be okay. And the people who do bad things are going to be held accountable, maybe not in the way you see here.
There we go.
Now, with that...
Well, the other thing I loved was how we had the three riders. They all complement each other, because you had Shouma, half human, half Granut. You had Rakia, all Granut. Hanto, all human. And they ended up all having to work together to solve everyone's problems.
Yes, that's part of the trio standing there with, honestly, I think it's no coincidence the Shouma's in the middle. The medium between extremes.
And I did like how the relationships were pretty authentic. Now, I'm still shipping Hanto and Shouma and Sachiko and Rakia.
Well, Rakia and Sachiko, obviously. Sachiko. But I also love that people communicated in this series. It was when, like, early on when Hanto's like, instead of being all broody towards Shouma, why don't I go ask him about it?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It did teach an actual life skill of talking to people. Like, if you have conflict, don't let it eat you up inside. Address it, even if it's uncomfortable. That's actually a really good life skill to teach kids, because I don't think kids necessarily understand that. We actually had to do what's called an employee insight survey. And actually, one of the things that was really bad within our team for what I do for a living is people don't like to have hard conversations with each other if they feel the other person is going to disagree. Or if they disagree with that opinion, they feel uncomfortable saying it because they don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And a true form of friendship is being able to say something to somebody and knowing that even if they don't agree, they're not going to take offense. You don't have to start the sentence with no offense, but you could just authentically say, hey, I don't necessarily agree with that. Here's my thought. And you can have a civil discussion and talk about it.
Well, or you can have a heated discussion, but still...
And still come out on the other end.
Like, listen, mother... We're gonna blah, 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 blah. What did you say to me? Oh, hell no! Blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, you're like, okay, cool. Let's go out for dinner.
Now, admittedly, I'm an extrovert saying this, so maybe introverts have a different perspective when it comes to this. But I do like that aspect of the communication. I'm looking at you, Silver Quill.
Well, I'm glad you are, because I'm adding a little something. I'm just going to put this. There we go.
Oh, God. Seriously.
What?
Release the Shocker files. Oh, my God.
I'll tell you that one of the people in the Shocker files was actually working as an undercover agent for the government, pretending to be Shocker. He was actually working with Tachibana.
Now, we did forget one thing that EA Games mentions in their comment. And but let me ask one thing first. I'm going to skip around before I go back. Did Kaiju get that series description from AI?
Oh, what I read on?
Yes.
No, I
LOL.
I typed that up on Twitter the day after we watched the finale.
So I had to do the A Games last comment before I go to. So let me read this comment off for us here. The final episode was underwhelming up until the sudden Zet's cameo moment with the UFO. So I don't want to get too far into Zet's lore because we watched the first episode and it's kind of explained. But
all right,
just from what you see at hand, because once again, I don't want to spoil it for
I will say I'm gonna disagree on the A Games. I love the finale except for the Zet's cameo. I actually had my immersion broken for a moment because of that cameo, because I felt it just took away from the series, from the ending.
No, I'll disagree because I found it hilarious and just random and silly, kind of like what you need for that. Like, we're okay now. How about you not knowing anything about Zet?
Well, I thought that Shouma was surprisingly chill about a UFO. I mean, we just confirmed extraterrestrial life. Now, granted, you're kind of extra-dimensional life, so maybe everything's perspective. But I did appreciate that they didn't show off the henshin device, but rather a new gummy, or gochizo, to demonstrate new hero. But you got to get one last product placement in there.
Product placement. Yeah.
But yeah, I was a little bit thrown off by that scene. That was probably my least favorite moment of the finale. But with my usual grown-ups and spandex scores that I do, I am giving Gavv a near perfect 5 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex.
Let's see if you still think that way after the marathon.
Oh, I think I will.
Now, Malachi D. Wildman does say, I'm trying to figure out what the little picture that Wajik did because it's cute, but I don't know what it is. I think it's like a hand slap. But based on the concept, Zet's is best watched at night or early morning. Or every single time you turn on YouTube, as my husband has decided to do when Zet's was airing. Oh my God, I have watched. That's the most time in my life I can honestly say I have watched one single same episode of a Kamen Rider series at different parts. And this was before they gave you the rewind function. When the rewind function came into play, oh my God. He actually rewound it as far as he could go to see how far he could go with the rewind option. Like when we're looking for something else on YouTube, he had to go through, and each and every single time Zet's was played, it came up as a separate video. So Toku Shoutsu owes us a lot of thanks for how many views we gave that goddamn episode. I can tell you beat by beat exactly what happens.
Was this a sort of Clockwork Orange moment for you?
Well, because on the stream, it just automatically repeats itself. So it's just a nonstop continuous loop every 24 minutes.
So we had it replay because he kept YouTube on while we're recording our live stream. So it replayed after we watched it the first time 3 times.
No, it was 4 times.
4 times?
4 playthroughs.
4 playthroughs. And that's after just watching it with audio the first time. Then he exited out because I was going to watch something else. Then he goes back to it a little bit later on his computer because I don't have commercials, so I don't know what everybody's complaining about. So he then has to have it playing. So I'm hearing that. And then I wake up in the morning to go, and I go onto YouTube just because I was going to watch the news. And the first thing that pops up immediately is Zets.
That's because we turned it off before without
in the middle of the episode. And because I was like half out of it, I let it play the remainder of the stupid episode. And then into the next episode, I take it out of YouTube. He then, a few hours later, goes back to the episode. I am so sick of episode 1 of Zets. If you make me watch it again, I will.
Well, we will have to watch it again.
Oh, no. I'm not watching episode 1 again. I've seen it. I know what happens.
Imagine if Kaiju does that with every single episode Toku Shouts decides to do the 24-hour loop.
My God. If he does that for every single episode, I will kill.
It won't be every episode because we'll be at conventions for some of the.
Oh, for some of them, you'll just turn on the goddamn YouTube on your computer and have it play.
No, I don't want to watch it first unless it's on the TV.
Oh, I meant afterwards.
But.
So, yes, I would murder them. So, are we counting Burning Amazing Gummy form as a final form? Or what is Gavv's final form?
We haven't seen it yet.
Know. I don't even know anymore what Gavv's final form would be because I don't even know if he truly had a final form.
But just so you know, Silver Quill, you can catch the episode on YouTube when? Sunday? Or Saturday?
Are you about Zets?
Yes.
So Zets starts Saturday nights, 8:30 Colorado time. And it went through to, I think, 5, 6 o'clock Eastern time. Yesterday, Zets was still, or not.
And that's 8:30 p.m., just so you know.
But it was still... People also offer a significantly trimmed down viewing online to just 24 minutes.
Yeah, 24 minutes of my life would have been great. Yes. Then,
but you don't support the official release that way. This way, you're supporting the official release.
This is like you in A Christmas Story, and we had cable, and it was playing nonstop. You would go back to it every now and then just to watch parts of A Christmas Story. And you would get mad when it wasn't at a scene you wanted. So you would wait to go back and kind of time it to watch it, even though we own the damn thing.
Okay, whatever. But
I have problems.
Yes, you do. But overall, it was a really good show.
And there's familial trauma and rivalry.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I did love when Shouma used all his forms during his Longo fight. Especially the forms we haven't gotten to see used in like 20 weeks, 20, 30 episodes.
Yeah. So many recent Kamen Riders attain a variety of forms for about an episode. And then we won't see them again until the finale. The minute you get that sort of halfway upgrade, that's when you know you're not going to see the alternate forms for a bit.
Well, I mean, like Shouma didn't even use his chocolate guns after the first few episodes of Valen.
But nothing will ever top the scene where they present their rider names. Oh, geez, what do I call myself?
Oh, yeah. Well, I still love, though, also back in, like, I think the second episode when he first got the chip form, and he squeezed the bag, and the chips came out to form the sword.
Good times.
I just like that it still had word bubbles that could be manipulated in real life.
Well, I did like that also, that he used the marshmallow in the plot for the finale.
I will say at this point now, while it's only 6:50 Colorado time.
It's 9 o'clock, about 9 for us.
And
we want dinner.
am hungry.
As am I. So let's just say a toast to a fantastic series. May the next one be just as good.
Yes.
Yep.
And thank you everybody for staying for the entire chat. I know we went a little long, but we had fun. Hopefully you have fun. Everybody who's watching later, hopefully you had a great time with Gavv. Please share your comments as we still want to keep that conversation going. As we always say, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, do whatever else YouTube does to help us become more viewable on the algorithm.
Like the YouTube hype coming out.
Ooh, I like hype. Can I be like Flavor Flav? But no, I'm too white for that. But also, you can find him on all the socials, either at Kaijin Okami or at Toku and Animation News Network
Toku
or
AA.
Toku AAN Network. And like I said, all the socials, just look up any of the socials that exist, like Discord, Instagram, just whatever socials, look up either Kaijin Okami or Toku AAN Network. You will find him. You can also find Silver Quill anywhere at MLP Silver Quill. Don't look up just Silver Quill because apparently that goes to something else that's not our Silver Quill. So always look up MLP Silver Quill on all the socials, except for Facebook because he's too young for that one. And then he also has something called Ko-fi because he doesn't get enough in his life. So you can also check him out there. You can also find cool merchandise for Kaijin Okami on his website or in the link below. We also have a couple of GoFundMes for help and for him. And for Silver Quill, he goes to all of your local various brony conventions, and you can get some great merchandise there.
There we go.
And I will say it's great because I've seen it before, and I've held it before and touched it, and it's all really cool. He has some feather pens that my cat loves to destroy. So take advantage of it. Please keep an eye out. We're going to work to do these live streams every other Wednesday to get into a rhythm, unless somebody's sick or something. But other than that, have fun. Thank you. Good night. And see y'all later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Bye-bye.
Now, after that verbal dialogue, until next time, bye. I don't even know how to put